Rod Stewart tried to push my dad's amp out the way, and my dad punched him. Jeff Beck was there because it was Jeff Beck's band. Rod Stewart was a singer back then. So Jeff used my dad. So I was in the kitchen at Anderton's studio, melting bits of Lego while they were drilling it in the main studios. I would like to get an SE Silver Sky and batter it, just to see the internet explode. Oh my God, because no one ever does that to PRSs, do they? Do you know, that's a funny story because there was... I think maybe deep down I'm still upset with you about it.
Like now, we could be having the exact same conversation in 20 years if we don't act now.
We literally get to the bit where you wanted to do a bit of the filming, and we're like, there's some dudes in a pickup truck came along, didn't they? I look at him and go, you sad twats, get out of your mum's basement and get a life, you morons. And you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, shall I do my own introduction? Hey guys, it's me.
Hey guys, welcome back to the 4th Pedal Porn podcast. And today we have a very special guest. You all know and love him. It's Pervy Paul. Let's go.
Hello.
There's no round of applause, is there? It's like dead. How you doing, mate? How you doing?
That's the way I rock and roll, baby. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much.
If you guys don't know who Paul is, he's our absolute legend here at Pedal Porn. Does all the tasks that no one else can do. We've said that before. You literally, you do all the things that are like no one else has a clue.
In the background, in the shadows.
Yeah. I feel like the best place to start this is how did we first meet? Because it's actually quite an interesting story to do with guitar pedals, and I feel like the guys should know.
Yeah. I can't even remember now. So long ago. What was it? I was after a dual overdrive, ideally something in the blues breakery tube screamer, because I didn't have a tube screamer at that point. So I ended up deciding on the JHS double barrel, and it was a random reverb search, something like that, hunting for some juicy prices, as you do. You've got to do it, yeah.
Yeah.
And I just randomly found some dodgy looking company locally to me in the Cambridgeshire area. And yeah, we pinged a few messages back because I'm a tight wad.
Yeah.
Chris loves to do a deal, which is always good fun. Stretch those pounds a little bit, and it was just a lot of banter over a pedal, and we were sort of in metal zone terms back then. So we were educating ourselves into proper pedals. The whole metal zone debate, love it. So yeah, my dad really fancied one. He liked playing my one, so I then came back and said, Mr. Chris, can I have a second one? Because you were still legendary on the price on those. And there's the whole JHS story as to why you had those in the first place.
That's right.
And then I think I came back for a spring tank, JHS
I kept seeing your name come back all the time. I was like,
Yeah.
this guy's got an addiction.
Or he loves me.
Yeah.
Haven't met him yet, but what was it? I saw you done the fuzz pedal. It hadn't been out that long, had it? And
No, didn't you say you saw it? Was it Chris Buck demoing it?
that's right, yeah. And it was Chris Buck's fault. Hello, Chris Buck. It was his because he's watching. I know, I can see him.
You see?
Rather,
Shut your curtains, Chris.
you're outside.
I remember going to Chris's house years back, and he had about
Look
5.
at you boasting.
Yeah. I actually know him. No. He had like 5 different dual overdrives on his board at once or something like. Well, it probably wasn't 5 dual overdrives.
It probably was.
Yeah, probably was.
Probably was back then.
Yeah. No, it had so many, but that was the first time I'd ever actually heard of JHS. It was actually quite early on, and yeah, you had the double barrel, one of the very early ones without any like fancy features or whatever. And ever since that moment, we made friends, and I think I sent him the fuzz.
Yeah, the fuzz. I saw that from a Chris Buck demo, and I randomly, cheekily mentioned to you that I wanted one, but also would like to build my own one.
Yeah.
Part because I'm a cheapskate, and I don't think I actually had the money at the time. My dad was going to get one, but I wanted to have a go at building one. And you and Keithy boy let me come and pick up a kit. So I did my own enclosure with a little stencil or whatever, so you can associate it with pedal porn and can deny knowledge of it ever existing.
Yeah, that's right.
Some dodgy geezer.
Yeah.
How many companies can you do that and just say, excuse me, mate, can I buy a kit because I'm a tight arse, and can I build it?
Yeah.
Potentially murder it and put a video saying it's rubbish. But, there's not many. It's kind of, in a way, I'm not sure we do that now.
Yeah, I don't think...
So don't send a request in asking for it because you get a big fat no. It was completely out of the blue, wasn't it? You contacted me saying, we're looking for some dodgy idiots who can't build pedals for toffee. Do you want to come and join the gang? But yeah, I think we'd spoken a couple of times. When I asked about doing the fuzz, you were... Are you just some crazy? I was like, no, I'm an engineer. I do know what I'm doing, sort of.
Yeah, no, Paul, to be fair, you play yourself down, but the stuff Paul's doing behind the scenes, when you see what he's doing, Paul's the main guy behind something that we're doing, which I honestly believe is going to be one of the game changers, which we'll talk a bit more about that later, even though we can't. Really talk about it. But Paul, no, he plays himself down, but you actually know what you're doing. Like,
thanks, mate. I'll pay you later.
Yeah. Not in clons or strats. Like Paul's been trying to get me to pay him in all sorts of. Yeah, that's right. But what was we saying? But we did have that good connection over email, and then of course I knew you could build them because you'd built one in the past, so we reached out, and then now you sat in my
in your front room,
yeah,
without any pants on.
Yeah, that's right. So don't pan down,
don't stand up.
Yeah, don't stand up.
But yeah, that's literally how it came about, wasn't it? That it was really random when I got that email just saying, "Oh, do you fancy having a chat about building them?" I was like,
"Yeah, it's
touch me, I'm dreaming," because I'd did engineering at uni and that. I didn't go down the music route. I sort of played when I was younger and stuff, but it was really nice to, after I started my career and many years into it, then came back round into the whole pedal guitar world thingy. It was always something I felt like was missing from my life. So that was just brilliant the way it all came about.
Yeah, definitely. Would you say your dad was someone that got you into music from an early age?
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, it's all my dad's fault. Because he was in the 60s and everything. He was, went gigging. He toured like France and Germany for a few years and stuff. He was actually in a band with my mum for a few times because she played keyboard for a bit. Some of the stories my dad's got, little things all pop out.
Yeah,
and I'll be like,
even the other day you texted me and said something to do with Jeff Beck.
Yeah,
that's a crazy.
Literally, the story that my dad always told me, or what I remembered anyway, was. He was in Croydon because he used to play at like the Star in Croydon and Chislehurst Caves, like where everyone played back then.
Yeah.
And of course, back then, big people like Eric Clapton and Jeff Beck, the name wasn't known. So it was just some, they knew they were quite a popular person at the time, but it wasn't like these days. And all I remember is that Rod Stewart was on after my dad's band, and Rod Stewart came on bit lively and everything a bit before time, so I hadn't cleared all their stuff off. So Rod Stewart tried to push my dad's amp out the way, and I may have elaborated the story at various points saying my dad punched him, which made it so much better. But I think they had an altercation,
right?
And I was like, oh, that's cool. But apparently, the big bit of the story, Dad, well done, was Jeff Beck was there because it was Jeff Beck's band. Rod Stewart was a singer back then, and Jeff went, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I was really apologetic." And I'm like. And Jeff's equipment hadn't turned up. I can't remember what the reason was now, but it hadn't turned up in time. So Jeff used my dad's gear.
That's crazy.
And he's like, yeah, I forgot about that. It was only because I was speaking to Henry the other day and he mentioned it. And I'm like...
Honestly, yeah, your dad is a legend like that.
He's fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, when we've driven up and down the country now, just doing crazy stuff.
He's the driver these days.
Yeah, he just pulls out the most crazy stories. Like, he's even telling me about stories about Hendrix and stuff. Like, it's just crazy. He's one of those old school guys that has got a lot of cool stories and again, he just pulls them out.
I think it's like the maybe he locks them all away because of the pain of having to give up all his gear and sell it when my brother came along.
Yeah.
And then my dad had like strats from back then, fuzz faces and amps and stuff, and I think he's always like, if only I'd have kept those.
Yeah.
They'd be worth so much money now.
When I announced to you and your dad that I was buying a vintage Strat, there was a bit of a silence in the car for a few minutes, and then Paul's dad turns around to us and says, "Right, I'm dropping Chris off at the next petrol station, and he's not getting back in." I was like,
"You're on your own, sonny Jim."
That's right, yeah. But before we were speaking about some of the, like talking about regrets and stuff like that, do you actually have any gear that you really regret not like holding on to or not buying at the time? Because you asked that question on a previous podcast, and I feel like is that something that's on your mind?
Yeah, I there's a few things that I wish I'd picked up when I went to the Gimp factory, the Gibson factory.
Gimp factory. That was a different day, wasn't it?
Yeah. When my mum passed away, me, my dad, and my brother went to Memphis. There was loads of cracking bands on, and it's an amazing place anyway. Go if you get the chance. It's fantastic. BB King's bar there and all kind of stuff. We went to the Gibson factory because that was still in, or one of them was still in Memphis, and that's where they make most of the ES line, all the semi-hollows. And like, I can't understand why I didn't buy. Well, I bought a PRS then, so I spent my money on a McCarthy with rosewood necks. It's a lovely guitar, couldn't miss it up. So there's a reason why I didn't buy
Yeah.
a ES335 or whatever. But yeah, I do sit every now and then, and now I'm like, I really want a Memphis made one from around that time I was there. I'd love that. So if anyone wants to mug me off, it's about a 15-year-old Memphis made, come at me.
Yeah. Right, yeah. Apart from that, do you have a wish list that you really want to get now? Because I know you've mentioned about some guitars in the past, like the Silver Sky, for example.
Yeah, I would like to try a Silver Sky. I'm a little bit, because I've got 2 PRSs, core line ones. I would like to get an SE Silver Sky and batter it, just to see the internet explode. Oh my God, because no one ever does that to PRSs, do they? They're so amazing guitars, but I'd like to roughen up one.
Well, do you know what, yesterday I was listening to this John Mayer live stream, and he was talking about how nowadays the reason that he didn't actually include a sunburst finish on the Silver Skies is because he wanted to actually see what the vision of guitar is like nowadays and going forwards. He said in the 60s you'd look around and see sunburst on cabinets or whatever, but nowadays it's outdated. So on that note, I think the Relic thing ties into that, and the reason he doesn't want to actually have a Relic guitar and you don't see it happening is because it's a new thing. He was saying that he even uses like the same color codes as Tesla nowadays because he's trying to keep updated and fresh. And if you Relic one, you're going to break the internet because it's probably not been done.
He might come after me and say bad.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll
if he gives me a core line PRS Silver Sky instead, I'll be happy with that.
Do you remember that Silver Sky we played at Anderton's in the Guitar Lounge? That was beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Again, another thing I heard John Mayer say actually that 100 out of 100 PRSs that they make should be all identical and sound the same. Yep. Whereas if you play an old Strat, it's 3 out of 10 might sound good.
Yeah.
So that's something that they were really conscious of. And that one I did play, I was like, wow, this sounds...
The core line ones, definitely, but I'm not sure on the SE ones. I've been in a few of my local shops and tried a couple, and they were all over the park.
Yeah.
Set them up, and they're fantastic guitars. And I did play one, I think it was the Andertons one. It was lovely setup, but I've played a couple. They're a bit of a dog, to be honest, and I'm not sure I would have been as keen on buying one if it wasn't for playing a really nice one. Know what they can do, but they are fantastic guitars for the money, especially when Andertons and Peach and everyone were knocking it out of the park with the price on them. I think they still are, aren't they? I
think so, yeah.
Like 600 quid. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that's a great bit of guitar for that price, isn't it? Yeah.
Because I'm very much... I've got USA PRSs. I've also got Korea-made Epiphone, Korea-made Fender, Telly. I'm not bothered about USA, Far East or whatever. If your guitar's good and you feel it, just get it. As long as you connect with it, that's the main thing. I was quite a heavy rocker when I was growing up, like teenage years, going to like Donington Monsters of Rock and all that kind of stuff. So I wasn't really blue. I liked Hendrix. I did listen to Hendrix a lot, but I was very much a more heavier kind of thing, hence some Metal Zone and Marshall JCM 800 sort of territory.
You lean towards that side of it. I'm more the bluesy side, and then we meet in the middle somewhere with Hendrix or something.
I always kick myself and wish I'd got like a Fender Strat, like when I first got into guitars, because I think my first guitar was a Squier Junior Strat, something like that, red and white pickguard, Hank Marvin special. I should say Mark Knopfler, but back then it was Hank Marvin. I was like, be one of the shadows.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. And then I totally switched sides and got my Epiphone Les Paul, switched to Les Paul for a long, long time. But yeah, I wish I'd picked up a nice Strat back then, because it would have been affordable back then. Whereas now it's just stupid. So there's a few things I kick myself for not realising when I should have bought something, but who could predict the future? Because back then it was like, no one cares about them, buy a new one.
Oh, you totally. And the same way, like now, we could be having the exact same conversation in 20 years if we don't act now about stuff like that. That Strat, I remember when I was about 15, 16, and I saw that.
So it's like last week.
Yeah. And I saw that same sort of Strat that's next to you, and it was about £5,000 at that time.
My Strat.
Honestly, I'm going to be searching you before you leave. There's a lot of gear now that, you probably should be looking at to buy. Otherwise, it's going to be unattainable one day.
Yeah. And a while ago, there was a lot of things that, like a lot of pedals were obtainable, weren't they? And I was still in that I won't pay more than 200 quid for a pedal territory.
Honestly, I get asked to value a lot of stuff because...
But hang on. But only get him to value it if he's not in the market for one, because otherwise he'll mug you off.
This is what I was trying to get at. Like, people ask me to value things, and I'm still stuck in the old mindset of when I used to pay a quarter of the price that they're asking for now. So, for example, even Chris Buck said this recently. The old Blues Breakers used to be, and I used to buy them for the same price, like £30 or £40.
Yeah.
And now, when I see one for £200 or £300, I'm still in that. I can't pay it more than £30 because I'm so used to it. So,
do you know, that's a funny story because there was. I think maybe deep down I'm still upset with you about it. But I think I said about it was a fuzz, whether it was a Cornell one or I don't know, there was a pedal and you were like, oh, I just can't pay any more than so-and-so. And it turns out it was a really good price and I didn't buy it and I'm an idiot and I'm really pissed off because now they're about 5 times the price of what I could have got it for.
Honestly, I'm a nightmare for that. People have asked me, should I buy this? And I'm like, that seems expensive. But then,
a week later it doubles in price and they're like, you son of a...
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I've learned this recently. To take out all of the emotion when you're valuing something, if you simply use the reverb price guide, that is the way to actually do it without thinking, oh, you know, I remember the memories with this, I'm going to charge extra. It's like because people factor those things in sometimes. Yeah. And the reverb price guide, you can't go wrong with it. And it's amazing, actually. Have you ever used it? Like,
because whenever I ask you about something, you just fob me off. And
I just send everyone screenshots now. Everyone sends me like, oh, how much is this? And I just reply with a screenshot. Everyone thinks I must be like such a prat, but I do that because if I say, like that story you just brought up now and used it against me, like...
I'm still upset.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm a bit reluctant to ever go down that route.
But it's nice that people come to you for advice on things like that. It's quite... a privilege, I suppose, isn't it, that people do trust us to give that kind of info? Because, you know, it's like the whole how you got into having those JHS pedals, which is where we first met about. It was because Josh got a lot of pedals from you, isn't it? So we should turn the tables and me interview now. So how did your relationship with Josh come about, young Mr. Christopher?
Oh God, I mean, this is you're exactly right with that. Sort of building trust with someone. I think that's...
Yeah, I'm bored now. Back to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, go for it. Because the Josh story is brilliant and it does tie into how we met.
I don't know how much I can say on it, really, but...
it's all, you know.
Yeah, well, nothing, not that dodgy, but it's business, and you don't know how much Josh would want me to say, but yeah. Once you build that trust with someone, Josh could come to me and be like, I want one of these, can you source it? Then I'd use all my energy to think, where can I find one? And eventually I'd find one for him, and he'd be like, how did you find that? And it's just because I know the places to look. And again, we have access to stuff over here in the UK, which a lot of American guys wouldn't have, for example. Like, we can go to an old guy's basement or whatever, and and we can find stuff that's like hidden.
Not me.
Yeah. I'm talking about your house. On that note, I just need to change the camera. So, okay, so I'm a self-confessed Strat guy. Everyone knows me as that. But you're a bit more eclectic with your taste.
I think it's very much based on what music I'm into at the time. My dad got to a point where he really wanted to get back into guitar and just loved it, but was obviously can't play Dad's guitar because it's his and I might damage it because I'm a stupid little wet-nosed kid. But he did let me play it a few times on that, probably way more than I remember back then. That was purely just wanted a Strat like my dad. And I had that, made a case for it, and it was hilarious. It was just like plywood and whatever other wood we had kicking about, and then it had like old curtains as the inside for it and stuff like the padding. So it was really cool and varnished it up. Probably the worst case on the planet. And then I was very much into like Ozzy Osbourne, like the Zakk Wylde era. Yeah. When we went to America, and that's when I saw an Epiphone Les Paul in a shop. And I don't know if you've been to America many times. They're so, back then certainly, so friendly. And we just went into this guitar shop, started chatting to the dude. He obviously got on. We were English and that. Before you know it, we're going out on their boat for 4th of July celebrations. And it's not like because I bought a guitar, because it was only an Epiphone. It was only a few $100. It wasn't like we were, all of that. And he had a Corvette, and he let me. We went out with my brother in it. I was like, bastard. Anyway, so it was so cool. There's loads of stories just from a guitar purchase and everything. And that was very much based on Guns N' Roses, Ozzy, those kind of sounds. Humbuckers, and everyone wanted a Les Paul back then. Definitely had that kind of sound in the neck pickup. I mean, I've always been a neck pickup sound kind of guy. I don't like it high screechy, trebly, horrible stuff like that. Chris King Robinson geezer. So I'm more darker and
That's
know,
interesting. I don't see. I've never understood that about guitarists, how they can have a preference over one pickup over the other, because I just use everyone so equally.
See, I don't. I'm always on the neck one.
Wow, yeah.
I don't know. Which, if people hear me, they must be like, "Oh, for God's sake, mate, put some treble on or something." But I can't stand it when things are too trebly. I don't know, maybe I've got an ear problem or something.
I'll tell you what. I remember once I saw Buddy Guy live, and I think because he was, he's a bit older now, his ears must have been shot over the years of just playing loud, like basement amps or like tweed amps or whatever, and his tone was so
basement amps.
So, yeah,
basement.
yeah. I don't.
It's getting old. Is my hearing?
Yeah. I don't know if he does use basement amps, or I meant like the tweedy looking ones. But I think because he's been using them for so many years with treble dimed, he now has a treble on 10. And I was standing next to the amps, and it was the most piercing sound ever. But to him, that would have sounded fine because his ears just have lost those frequencies or whatever. Yeah. And it's
he's got too much wax in there to pad it out.
Yeah, shout out, Buddy Guy.
No, but yeah, I think it was more of a single coil in the neck position. If I'd had a single coil on the bridge, maybe I would have used it a bit more as well. But it was just too.
Well, that's something John Mayer said about the Silver Sky. He actually eradicated a bunch of frequencies that were in the original Strats because they're literally not there. So he'd always turn his tone knob down to 5 to get rid of those harsher frequencies. Whereas now you can, the tone knob doesn't actually have those frequencies in to start with. Right. So he's actually, he's completely transformed that side of it.
Well, yeah, if you order me one, I'll try it out. Thanks very much.
That's right, yeah.
I like the Roxy Pink, that'll do it.
Right,
bit of retro 80s action. It ties in with when we my dad would hunt for deals for holidays because he had a really stressful job, so he liked to go, and he used to travel a lot, so he had air miles and everything. So we went to Florida a few times holidays, and we'd always go to guitar shops. He used to, it was flipping hilarious, justify a holiday because we get a guitar so cheap out there, but it was worth going there just to get the guitar that you really wanted, because variety out in America is way bigger than it was over here.
I literally did that same thing with the Sweden thing. To go to Sweden, you could basically get the trip for free.
Yep.
Whereas in London, that would have been priced that much more.
Yeah.
So it's
exactly.
You get a free holiday essentially.
Yeah. Oh, it's ridiculous. Like my McCarthy that I got, because it was rosewood neck, over here it would have been $3+ grand, and I think out there it was like 1,200 quid or something.
Yeah, it's crazy if you just shift the way you look at it, that you can actually do that for free and almost come out better off with that amazing experience attached to it.
My mum bought him I think it's a 78 Strat yonks ago. So he's always had one for a long time, but like me and my brother didn't have a USA Strat or anything. So we went to Memphis. We've been twice, and the second time he was like, "I really want to make sure we all get a Strat," and we're like, "Oh, don't spend all your money, But it was so, they were only I think it was 300 quid or something each one. It was a crazy price because he bought 3.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll just have 3 Strats, please. Imagine that in London now, 3 USA Strats. Yeah, all right, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was such a good price, and the really lovely guy up there, Buddy Church. He's cracking. He passed away a few years ago.
Oh, so I was going to say, you just made that name up, didn't you?
Because he I can't remember exactly what it was, because this is again the dad stories. He randomly walk into someone in a guitar shop and they'll be like, "Oh, mate, hello, honestly, mate," and my dad will be like, "I don't think I know that dude," but people know me dad,
right?
From record, and he's like, "I must look like someone else," and they're like, "No, you played so and so song in Chislehurst Caves or whatever," and he's like, "Yeah, when my amp started smoking." Yeah. Brilliant.
That's exactly what Nige is like, our bass player, and obviously Wires Fuzz is. Shout out Nige if you watch him.
Hey, Nigel.
Yeah, but no, we could go anywhere in the world, Poland, America, wherever it is. You'd walk into a random club and they'd be like, "Nice, Turner, how are you doing?" And me and Tom were sat there like, how does this happen? And but again, it's not it's real stuff. And they'd be talking about how this place used to be a bowling alley or something, and it's like random stuff, and it's like these guys.
It's mental.
Yeah, those guys are crazy.
See, I've got a weird, got
a weird face.
Weird face, weird everything. And ended up getting I think it was when we went and actually met Paul Reed Smith when he came over, and he's a lovely guy as well. Crazy stories. So were you getting any more of the P.245 because they discontinued it? I don't think it was not that it wasn't marketed great, but I think people just didn't pick up on it, what it was. So he managed to get me what I think was the last one that came in the country or whatever, and I loved it. So I've got a random pickles worth of guitars that you have to play for a little while before you get back into it.
Right, yeah. Are you saying that today, actually, you picked up my Strat and you was like, I've played a telly for so long now that it feels weird.
Yeah, it's really strange, actually, but because I didn't used to have problems with switching guitars. When you then have been playing it for a while, it's quite strange to... So because you've got like Les Paul and a telly as well, but you're always... and the 335, what makes you decide which one you're going to play? Apart from I'm a Strat guy, when would you pick up your Les Paul? Does it just never get played anymore? Was I the last person to play it?
No, I mean, my radar is instantly like, where's the Strat? But I tend to use the 335 telly or Les Paul depending on what the track needs. Like sometimes you just, like the other day I was doing a demo for an Eric Clapton pedal. And
so you got the Flying V out?
Yeah, Flying V. I forgot about that Flying V. Yeah. That's right. But yeah, it just needed the 335. I could just tell it just had that. It needed that Gibson honk to it. But my default, it definitely is a Strat.
Yeah.
It's just got that. It's just me. It just feels like, it's a bit cliche, but it feels like an old pair of jeans or something that you just throw on. And it's like, but yeah, if you want to go for the Albert King bending stuff, you need the Flying V. If you want to go for the Albert Collins twang, you need the Telecaster.
Whereas me, it's just what guitar's hanging up in the room that I'm in.
Yeah.
Come to that'll do.
Yeah, just neck pick up straight away. Yeah, speaking of Paul Reed Smith before, we were chatting to the Andertons guys about Paul Reed Smith because I think they went out for dinner the night before or something with him and
didn't take us out.
Yeah, shout out Lee and Pete if you're watching. But yeah, they were telling us like everyone that's ever met Paul always talks about him as if he's like some like mad scientist in a great way. Like he's
very eccentric. Yeah, that kind of ideas coming out of his ears kind of thing.
Yeah. And they do paint him as an actual scientist as opposed to a musician or whatever. Even though he is a musician, in fact, he's a good guitar player.
Yeah. We saw him. I think when he was over, they did a Don Airy gig in Cambridge, and Paul Reed Smith got up on stage. It was when the PRS, the Silver Sky, got released,
right?
And the support band, one of the guys had one. He dropped it.
Oh no!
Literally just went dong, and the entire crowd were like,
"Oh no!" On that note, that happened to me once. My old mate from college I was playing his brand new telly.
When you say old mate, that's because you're no longer. Mates, right?
After this moment, this is no longer. But yeah, he showed me his brand new telly, and for some reason the strap just fell.
Oh, that chestnut.
Yeah.
Strap wasn't done up.
Honestly, yeah, and it clanged on the pedals down on the floor, and it wasn't good. It wasn't a good moment because you just not destroyed, but you've just it's like dropping someone's baby, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good fun. But yeah, speaking of the Andertons guys, we've had a bit of a crazy journey in the last year or so, and it's it's
been mega.
Yeah, it's been
mind blowing.
To even go and meet those guys would have been a massive moment, but to actually do what we've done with those guys now and collaborate on a massive level, and we're even doing stuff behind the scenes now that we can't really talk about, but there's it's just been such a crazy journey, hasn't it?
The guys are so lovely with it, and it was just such a cool time, wasn't it? And the randomness of let's do Lego pedals. It's just actually, we were like, we'll give it a go, see what we can come up with. And
you want to let the guys know how the whole Lego saga actually came about, because that was a bit of a crazy time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just a bit. Yeah, that was a sort of a painful memory in a way, because there's a lot of time and stepping on Lego. But no, it was what was it? We were there for the Tube Screamer vid when you brought your massive ego boosting collection of Tube Screamer pedals, which was a cracking time as well. We were really grateful to be invited back down there, and thanks Dad for driving. But yeah, we were just chatting with Lee and Pete, and I think they had a pedal that something gave us the thought, and then Lee just randomly came out of, we should like build something crazy like Lego pedals for charity this year. And we said we might be able to help you out with that, because we've got circuits for quite a lot of cool pedals, and I used to do Lego in the past, so we give it a go, and we sort of left it like that, didn't we? Of see what you come up with.
That's right.
So I think I got a bee in my bonnet and started looking at, because I hadn't looked at Lego for years and didn't know how many crazy shapes they actually have now of stuff. And I think I sent a sketch to you of a fuzz face, because we might as well start on the hardest one.
Exactly, yeah.
Round pedal. So yeah, and it sort of went from there. And I've sort of said to Chris, I think we might be able to do this now. And this was when we thought it was just gonna be 5 of the same pedals. So I'd thought, go with a fuzz face, that's hard, that'd be really cool. 5 of those, they can build them and whatever. And then it sort of, after a few chats with Lee and guys, it was 5 different pedals, which of course then made us go, oh, okay, that might be a bit more tricky, because hunting those bits, some of those parts, I mean, I think I had 20 different orders from 4 or 5 different countries, because it's all out of production now, all of those kind of ones. There's modern stuff, but to actually get Lego not in a kit, it's quite hard. It's not when you know. Now I know. So if anyone wants some info on Lego, I'm your man.
If you're going to do it again now, it'd be easy, wouldn't it? Well, not easy, but you
know
exactly what to do.
Yeah, and I've got lists of all the part numbers to look for and the different variants. And
I feel like it's quite a specialised topic, though. You're the fuzz face Lego guy. So you're not going to get too many inquiries, but yeah.
But yeah, it came from that, didn't we? We sent Lee and Pete some pictures of what we were thinking, and they were really nicely blown away by what we were thinking we were going to be able to manage. And it was a really short turnaround, wasn't it? There was a real pressure on when we needed to get it done because of releasing it in sync with Teenage Cancer Trust, because that's who it was all for, to try and raise some money for charity meet. And yeah, it was just a really cool project. But I mean, my kitchen got overturned with Lego everywhere, and even things like having to glue it, or we use solvent melting for it, which is what they actually use at Legoland.
Well, because that was one of the things. Even if you get it to look good and sound good, you've got to make sure it withstands the test of time.
Yeah.
So that was one of the biggest burdens, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I built quite a few of them and gone, oh yeah, we can nail that. And then was like, hang on, how am I going to keep it structurally okay with all the circuitry inside? Because obviously you need most pedals are a hollow shell inside. I was like, well, I can't, because it needs to be strong. So yeah, went round the houses many a time.
The amount of times I got messages saying, I'm about to kill everyone in sight, because it's just, it was a stressful time, wasn't it? But you pulled it off in the end. We all did in the end. Shout out to Brian as well. He put in his work as well.
Yeah, exactly. There was a few late nights doing all of that, and the circuits that were literally handmade by Brian. All prototype circuits. I think we used on the Octavia one, and it was really good because we got some lovely feedback on them and requests to build other ones as well, which, it was only for those 6 that we did in the end.
If anyone watching, what was there in the end?
So we had a fuzz which had BC183 transistors for some old school mojo. We had a Tone Bender Mark 1, which was our sort of take on the circuit, because they can be a pain in the bum. We don't do that circuit. So we sort of recreated one using some cool transistors that we got, and we love the sound of it ourselves. So we then did a TS9 tube screamer. That was the one that Pete and Lee built. So there's a video if you haven't seen it. It's brilliant.
And about half of it, this is the thing, half of the stuff that happened, they couldn't even put in the video because it was just so ridiculous, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was funny because we didn't know when or if we'd be on video for that one. So we were kind of like really nervous, anxious of going on video, not really, because we all we wing it, and it's like you go down, it almost feels like you're putting on your favorite pair of slippers. It was so easy, but also because it was so easy, it was quite laid back, so we didn't know, and we just go with the flow. So I was in the kitchen at Anderton's studio, melting bits of Lego while they were drilling it in the main studio. It's just hilarious.
I remember seeing your face when I think Pete drilled a bit too far and something flew off, and your face was just like, oh no, I'm gonna have to fix this.
Well, I think it was like, oh god, has something gone wrong, and the project's in a right old problem point and can't do it. And no, it was just we hadn't let the solvent dry enough, so it was a technical glitch.
Yeah, I mean, you still part building some bits on the way there, just on the way to the actual studio, wasn't you?
In the back of the car,
because obviously Lee and Pete built the tube screamer on camera, but we did a lot of other fundamental Paramount stuff just behind the scenes so that it was secure, because again, we wanted this stuff to last and stand the test of time. So and what you mean is I kind of had to take apart the tube screamer and glue it all together, wasn't it? So it was
yeah, it was a crazy cool project. We're really pleased to have been involved with it. It was a good laugh. It was very stressful.
Raised quite a few thousand for Teenage Cancer Trust, which was
Yeah.
that was the net result we wanted.
Yeah.
That was the times of stress. We was like, no, it's for the for the cause. So
Yeah, so we got to the tube screen. It was tangent, didn't we? So we did Fuzz, Tone Bender, Tube Screamer. We did the Blues Breaker, which I think was most people's favourite one because it was like cool slanted surface, isn't it? I was really proud of how I managed to get that one done.
I mean, honestly, I remember it's a shame this is not on camera, but I remember the first time we handed that to Lee in person, and he was like, "You guys have smashed it," because he was like blown away because it looked almost indistinguishable from a real Blues Breaker. So, I mean, to do that from Lego from scratch without any guide or whatever, I think, fair play to you on that. all credit to you on that one. Yeah.
No, I was really pleased with that one. And we actually were going to buy more stuff to make me and you one to remember it by, like a secret hidden away one. But
you just announced it to the world.
Yeah, I've kind of, well, no, I think my brain was just like, I can't build anymore.
Yeah.
Lego pedals. And it's, sat on the back burner.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Maybe. And then we did the treble booster. That was quite a cool one. And then the final one was the number 6 that, like an idiot, I'd got spare bits and just randomly put some bits together and then said to you, I think I can make an Octavian. He was like, brilliant, sold. And I was like, you idiot.
Yeah.
In
case you didn't have enough to do.
Yeah. So literally on the trip down to Anderton's that day when we were going to film it, I was building it and trying to finish it off. So
I think we've had so many fun times there already with Anderton's. I think we've done 4 videos with them now.
Yeah.
And one of the ones that people always bring up to me is the Tube Screamer episode. And if you guys haven't seen that, it's we basically took as many vintage Tube Screamers as we could find. We ended up taking about 40 to 50 there. And I remember, again, a bit like we were saying before with Lee, he was like, once he saw how many we bought, I don't think he realised how many we were taking.
No.
I think he thought we was taking 4 or 5.
Yeah.
We pulled up this crate and he was like, I don't know who he was speaking to, but he ended up making like a bit of a phone call to someone and like, oh, we need to like take this more like seriously. I don't know what it was, but yeah, I just remember him like, oh my, this is crazy. And that episode got a lot of traction online. People have been going a bit crazy about it. But if you haven't watched it, definitely go and watch it. It's one of the craziest things we've ever done. But yeah, essentially we did an A/B test with like vintage TS808s, TS9s, and TS10s. The difference is not overwhelming, is it?
I think because it's very quick to just say, oh, they all sound the same. But Lee is a master at being able to dial in different pedals to sound the same to compare. So I think what we actually found out was you can buy any Tube Screamer and you can get it to sound like any other one.
Yep.
But the ends of those tones that you can get are different with each one. So you can get them all to sound a similar in the middle kind of sound. But I think like the TS10, you get more of a high fidelity sound. That's what people always say a lot.
Yeah.
I like the 808. I find it a bit warmer, but we dialed it in, so, and it depends what amp you're playing, how you're playing on the day, what feel you've got with stuff. So don't get a massive bee in your bonnet as to which one to get. They're all going to give you the mid hump and, the that kind of territory. But they have all have their applications. But it was funny that we were just like, oh, sound the same.
Yeah. Well, by the way, I don't know if people realize how much pressure there is to even just click pedals on and off on Andertons if you're not playing, just to try and get it in the right time. Honestly, you can't actually see what you're doing because, obviously the viewers watching will see the top-down camera. So they're like, oh, just switch them. But when you're like that, you can't really tell what's going on. And there's so many lights that the red LEDs on the pedals are pretty much...
Especially on Tube Screamers, because they're non-existent, aren't they, as we found out.
Exactly, yes. Yeah, so you got to use your ears a bit as well. And it was, and a bit like Sasha Ivantic was saying, it's the pressure of being on something like Anderton's. Because a lot of people commented on how nervous I looked, actually, on the comments. And I was like, when you're sat in the seat, it's a different experience. It's like you've got Lee next to you, you've got Pete. And again, they make you feel very comfortable. But because you've watched that show since you've been, a lot younger, to sit there, the pressure is it's massive. And we actually spoke about this, how, for the first time, me and you actually went on and guested on there together. There was a big jam at the end, like a 4-way jam. and it got to the stage where Paul didn't really know if he was getting on camera or not, and they were like, "Yeah, Paul, just grab a guitar, come on," and you know, do you want to talk a bit about that experience, because you actually really stepped up your game for that performance, you know?
It was. I'm so pleased I did it, and it was cool that my dad was there as well, so I had my moral support coach. But it was such an awesome day. But like you say, we didn't know who was, you know, whether I'd go on camera or not for any of it or bits of it or what. And it's good because you want it open, see how it flows, and it's the best way to do it, I think. And it was when they said about it, I was like, oh no, we won't. And then when it became apparent that we were, I was like, A, this is going to be amazing, and B, oh my Christ, I'm going to poop myself.
Yeah.
I'm really nervous because, I mean, we've spoken about this before, isn't it? We're both quite anxious people because we get on so well. We bounce off each other and help relax each other. But you know, on earlier live streams that we've done and things together, where you can see we're a lot nervous. And big credit to Philip Sace and the Together format, the streaming service, because that was where we first sort of started. And that was after one of those that we've ended a first Instagram live, didn't we?
It was.
We were so like, wow, we managed to do it. It was amazing.
And by the way, Philip actually jumped on that live stream and actually commented, and we was like, this is crazy. It's like,
literally.
Yeah.
So don't ever let. I think the moral is don't ever let anything hold you back. Give it a go, even if you fail. You gave it a go. No one can have a pop at you. Give it a go. So it was really nerve-wracking. I think I said to you, and you were just, it's fine, mate. Just don't worry about it. I'm like, yeah, helpful. Thanks, mate. You played on stage and everything. There's Pete, you know, playing on stage, and there's Lee, who's like seriously got good over the, you know, past couple of years, isn't it? And it was just fantastic. I really enjoyed it, but also was bricking it.
Well, for me, that part was the easy bit for me, because I was like, I've jammed with so many people, done so many live performances that was just second nature. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whereas it was more the talking on camera. I'm not the best speaker, so that was one of the elements I was struggling with. But yeah, the actual jamming, that was just such a. Like, I remember the feeling afterwards. We were sat there eating some Five Guys burgers.
That's right. Yeah.
But we felt like we just climbed Mount Everest or something, because we had we didn't want to do it. Well, we really wanted to do it, but we were struggling mentally.
And it's totally, because people sort of think, oh, well, when we do videos, you know, you forget there's all the editing side of that, which we're in control of, so you can cut out whatever you want. When you go to, you know, someone like Anderton's or do someone else's podcast, they're in control of that. So you can sort of say, oh, can you remove that bit? And they might not want to. It might be really good from their point of view, but you're like, oh, I really don't like that.
Yeah.
So you're very much, it's more like you're doing it live, and you've got to get it right that time.
Yeah, there's no second tries or anything. It's it really is. Like I say, that's an interesting point about the editing, because, for example, if you say something that you're not happy with, we could chop it out. Whereas when it's yeah, which will be most of the podcast, to be fair. If you're seeing like 10 minutes out of 2 hours.
We've been here 4 hours.
Yeah, we actually have. I don't know if you guys watching have seen the little silly videos me and Paul sometimes do, where we did. The first one was
that the Clon one? I think that.
Yes. So
that's right. Yeah, because you thought there was a really good slope for us to throw it down.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. And then on the second video.
No. You can't just.
Oh no! Sorry. Wait.
There's more to it than just that one. We drove. I don't know where the hell it was, and then had to walk after parking my car in a very dodgy location. I'm not quite sure what you get up to. And then we had to walk quite a way in the sludgy mud and that. And you were like, no, it's great. I come here all the time. It's absolutely fine. We literally get to the bit where you wanted to do a bit of the filming, and we're like, there's some dudes in a pickup truck came along, didn't they?
We could see them from in the distance, couldn't we? And we had a tripod set up. We had like all these mics on, and we looked like reporters or something.
Yeah. And you were like, oh no, it'll be fine. And they literally came along and went, get off my land. Get off my land. And we were like, well, you were like, because I was like, oh, God, we're going to get mowed over. I come this way quite often. And the guy was like, well, you shouldn't, because there's a private property sign there. And literally, you pointed at it, was like, there's no getting out of this one. And you were sort of saying, but I come here quite often. I was like, don't say that, because you're admitting to trespassing.
Honestly, that's my favourite walk. Now it's gone now.
I know, but they weren't very friendly, were they? And we were like, well, can't we just phone you, the owner, and ask. And you're like, all right, whatever, job's worth. Jog on. So we ended up trudging back and ended up after about 2 hours back at square one where we first started off and ended the video. And that's why it goes from daylight to darkness really quickly, because we were literally at the end of a day like, shit, we got to do it really quickly.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious, wasn't it? So yeah, we've had some interesting times.
But by the way, if you haven't seen that video, it involves the destruction of multiple £1,000 pedal into the water, into like down hills, down steps, getting crushed, getting run over. I don't want to ruin it too much, but yeah, I'll put a little link in the description, I think. But
yeah, they were a good laugh. They're just harmless fun.
Yeah, actually, those caused a bit of controversy, didn't they? Online, a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, I've saved my whole life to buy one of these, and now you've just crushed it." But of course, we did use a dummy pedal. I was
wondering if you were going to say that.
No. Yeah, we did use a dummy pedal for.
Yeah, we're not idiots.
Oh, actually, no. You got to tell the story about the King of Tone, though.
Oh yeah,
this is ridiculous.
The King of Tone. We had one of those Lyrock or whatever clones of it.
Yeah, cheap Chinese IP infringing pedals. Not
very. The ones that cause controversy, but they sound alright.
And they look aesthetically good. So that's why we ended up getting one for the video, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah, and in all brutal honesty, I'm on the wait list. I'm not to get shafted, but just release this video after I get mine.
Yeah.
But it is really, I get the point of it, but it seems to be disappearing out of sight. I've been thinking I was about to get to the top of the list for over a year now, and it just seems to be getting. So I can see why a lot of people buy them. And you got the Ducatone now, which is cool if you want the MXR one or the Prince of Tone. They're amazing pedals and that, but it seems to have gone nuts now. So it just opens up that there's going to be more and more people trying to clone them, aren't they? But so we got the clone pedal, and we'd obviously been filming with the real one for the shots where it wasn't getting damaged, so we could, make it seem like we were definitely doing the real one. And we started melting rubber to simulate that we'd melted the knobs on it. And all of a sudden we've got this melting plastic going on it, and then we realised that we're dripping it onto the actual King of Tone. And I think there's a bit in the video where I'm just like, oh my god, this is a real one.
Because you was like, wait, is this a real King of Tone? And I was like, oh no, it is. And I couldn't believe.
I think the pitch of my voice goes up because I'm literally like, I've just ruined your like £800 pedal.
But my first instinct, and I'm glad I had this, but my first instinct was to laugh. Thankfully, I was like, how have you done this? And like,
I'm getting my keys. I'm going to leg it.
Yeah. I don't know how we managed to switch those around, but I remember just looking at this
because you're an idiot.
Yeah. Also, I don't know who it was. The thing is, as soon as Paul comes to my house, there's about 50 pedals everywhere. He just brings stuff and just like leaves it in. But yeah, we nearly, absolutely, completely really destroyed. Yeah. An £800 King of Tone, whatever, yeah.
Thankfully, I dripped it from a height where it had splattered but not done any damage to the paintwork. So it literally just flicks off.
That was a miracle. I don't know how that didn't destroy. That was... So what actually was your first guitar pedal?
What do you think it would have been? Or is? I still own it.
Is it pink?
No, it's not pink.
No, it's got to be the... I think you told me this before. It's got to be the Metal Zone.
Ding, 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 ding.
How did you get that then?
I went to a shop and bought one.
Oh, no, I need to stop asking these questions. I was sort of like, ask a silly question and get a silly answer.
I don't know, because I don't think any bands I liked at the time used those. So I'm not sure, but I think I basically went in and went, I've got a JCM 800. It's really fucking loud. I can't get breakup in my parents' garage. I'm an idiot. We shouldn't have bought them. We went into a shop and I wanted to be able to crank up and get that sort of heavy metal sound, and I think it was typical shop logic. That's what they had.
Yeah,
it actually sounded very good through my JCM 800. It allowed you to push it and get that kind of sound. And I remember we did it was our sixth form reviews. It was in front of like 1,500 people, like the whole school.
Oh no, yeah.
And the drummer went out of time halfway through. We were doing Enter Sandman, Metallica.
The classic school song.
Oh, I know. It was just an absolute shambles. And I look back with fond memories. No, I don't. And I knew we went out of time, and it was, in my mind, absolutely catastrophic. No one else noticed.
Yeah,
I don't know what I was worrying about, but I had that a really great. And there was no reverb, but it was a big room, so it was echoing anyway. So it sounded. The Metal Zone sounded great that day. I loved it. But yeah, that was my first pedal. It was a Metal Zone. I am a Metal Zone fan, although...
That's crazy because people think that we hate metal zones, don't they? Because we do.
No, but I think you hate metal zones. I'm the lover of metal
Yeah.
zones. There's always a fond place in my heart with the metal zone.
Yeah, I mean, we do poke fun through memes. I mean, yeah, obviously I make the memes, so it's me that's poking the fun. But one thing I was going to ask you is, since you've been thrown into this whole world of like social media, because before you never actually, with your previous careers and whatever, you wouldn't have had this same eyeballs on you. Because right now, you sat here doing a podcast, you've been on Andertons, you've done some crazy stuff. How do you deal with some of the craziness that's happening in the comment section, the absolute nut jobs you see, and just what's your take on it?
It's really strange actually, because I was always very shy as a kid. I never used to like speaking on the phone. I wouldn't want to be in videos or anything like that. So it's really helped me by pushing me out of my comfort zone big time. I hate all of that kind of stuff, and I felt it's really brought me on, and the anxieties and that is, I still get anxious about a lot of stuff, but I can relate situations. So we similar thing like that, and we coped with it. You learn all your coping mechanisms and things like that. And it was only since the whole pedal porn thing came about, and you'd sort of said, you want to start looking, and you sort of send me videos, and I'm like, maybe I should. And I said to the missus a few times, I don't know if I want to re-engage with that part of the world, And but it's been brilliant. I still steer clear of Facebook. I think I've not updated my profile for like over 10 years, I think.
Yeah.
People are like, is this you? Yes.
Yeah. He's still eating his dinner from like 10 years ago. Yeah.
So yeah, it's like that one of those things that you end up going into a doom loop where you just stare at your phone looking at stuff, and then an hour goes by and you're like, I've just wasted, my life is wasting away of this crap.
Yeah.
So it's good to get away from it, have a bit of a reset, because it's like a tractor beam that sucks you in sometimes, doesn't it? But it's really rewarding for a lot of stuff. But yeah, just be careful with it, I think.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind on Instagram because it's been some weird stuff, but yeah, we have met some incredible friends, like our friend Danny was talking about. Like, he's actually a genuine friend now, and we wouldn't have met him without Instagram.
It's really cool, those, and we've got so many more friends on it as well, haven't we? Like, there's some people who I don't think their intentions are quite friendly. I think they're very selfish and out for number ones and that. But there are so many awesome people who make up for the naff side of social media, and it's because some of the comments people put, instantly like, oh God, I look at them and go, you sad twats, get out of your mum's basement and get a life, you morons. And I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, bring it.
Yeah. Well, should we get onto some viewers' questions for you?
Man,
we did an Instagram.
Hang on, someone actually replied to it.
Honestly, yeah, we got quite a few. We did an Instagram story the other day and asked for any question for Paul.
Oh God.
Okay, so here's the first one.
Yes, I am wearing pants.
Yeah.
Boxers, baby.
Paul Cora Whip on Instagram says, when is the PPTS coming out? Please use a nice green and a catchy button.
A PPTS? Pedal porn tube screen, was that? Oh. Well, let's just say we are looking at multiple tonal variants that we may like to add to our palette and our product range.
Yeah, politician answer, isn't it? Tom Brooker Music says, what's it like being bold?
Bold or bald?
Bald.
That's bold. Well, thank you very much. What's it like being bald? I save a lot of money from not having to buy hair gel or hairspray, as I used to use. It's probably why it all fell out.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning into this riveting podcast, by the way. Okay.
Egghead.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Where... I don't understand this. A guy called Josh Emery. This sort of ties into what we're saying. When is he going to die? So when is he going to die? Jesus Christ.
Is that a play on my age? I mean,
I don't know.
It's quite funny actually, because people vary what age they actually think I am. So all manner of hits.
Yeah, drop a comment in the how old do you think Paul is? But
here's my good side.
Yeah. K.O. Strom. Will there be another transistor type fuzz that's going to stay in the lineup, or is it just the white one?
We're always on the lookout for new, or not new, because they tend to be old school flavours that we recreate in ours. but yeah, we're always on the lookout for that. I don't think we'd have a mainstream other one. The silicon is, the white silicon is, like Vantage said, it's, temperature tolerant. It's, where it's going to be, what it's going to do. Some germaniums can be a pain in the bum. If they're military spec like our CV7003, it's a lot more controllable. But you can still get those for the moment, but we are running out of those. It's really hard to get anything with sort of vintage mojo in decent quantities, and because we're lucky enough to have a really cool following of people who buy our products, it's hard
regardless to get. We've got to be careful. We don't want to put anything out just for the sake of it. It's
we want at the end of the day, we're only ever release something we would want to play, and we do play. I've got all the pedals, and it shows that we're not just Mickey Mouse Fiber Nights. We play our pedals. I don't tend to post look at my pedal porn range because it's like I'm trying to flog everything, but I've got all of them. I love playing them. The BC183. I mean, the transistors got swiped out of my one, didn't they, for the Lego fuzz?
That's right.
And I've only just got some back
to
put in, so I'm really happy I've got that one fired up.
But yeah, thank you so much to everyone that's bought one of those. I mean, they sold out. What was it? We was on the phone every time there's a release of a new fuzz, me and Paul will be on the phone and just watch the craziness happen. And I think how long does it take for these to set up?
50 minutes, less than that, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, less than an hour, and there was about 100. There was 100. So it's the support has been mental. So going forwards, we don't want to just necessarily. We know we've got that situation now, so we don't want to just be like, oh, let's just get a cash grab or whatever, release whatever. We want to really make sure we're putting out something that is, again, going to stand the test of time.
Yeah. Well, I think all we can say is we have in our possession our next one that we are working on, and there will be more available than what we've had in any other limited releases, is what I'd say.
The next question is, what's it really like to work at Pedal Porn?
Right. Don't listen to Chris. No, it's always wanted to do something music based, but I guess because I wasn't that great at playing, and I guess my school was just useless at like helping people find their careers. I don't know if it's just back then. It sounds like a long time ago. I'm not that old, all right?
Josh Emery.
Damn you.
Yeah.
I love all the banter. I love it. Don't worry about it. What the hell was I on about? I'm so old I've forgotten.
What's it really like to work here?
So I'm like genuinely, me and Chris, whether we had pedal porn going on, we'd be really good mates. We get on so well. We go to gigs together. We just have a laugh.
We share absolutely everything other than underwear.
It's just a really good laugh. It's a great company to be in. I think everyone else who works for us enjoy it. It's very laid back, but we know what's required, I think, is what I'd say. It's not one of those you have to chase anyone. We do it because we enjoy it. I really like, and certainly the projects I get to work on, which I wouldn't have access to do in other jobs that I've had in the past. So I'm a mechanical design engineer by trade, years of experience. I know what long-term R&D projects are like, and that. So it's really cool being able to apply that knowledge I've gained on stuff that I really enjoy. So like we've alluded to, we're working on something in the background that we hope we're quietly confident that we've proven the concept and what we're trying to do. So at some point eventually when we're still having all these curveballs coming, we get some real traction on that and hopefully have some cool stuff to show. So it's cool. I like it. Anyway, I'll stop waffling now. Can I have my bonus now?
Yeah.
Did I do good, boss?
That's right. Okay, so we're going to play this little game that we always play with every guest at the end of the show. And it's a little word association game. So you have to let us know the very first thing that comes into your head. It's got to be a short word or a little phrase. And you can't really think about it too much. Just, give us your first initial reaction. So first one is PRS.
Awesome.
Silver Sky.
Oh, what's the word I'm trying to think? It's the word means polarizing. Yeah.
Pedal porn.
How many words can I have? Fun.
Yeah. Fender.
Vintage.
Philip Sace.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That lovely guy. He's just a cracking guy. I can't have any more words, but there's too many words you'd use to describe the dude. He's awesome.
Yeah. Anderson's.
Top blokes.
Oh, yeah. King of Tone.
Frustrating.
You're just desperate for your one now. Relic guitars.
Pointless.
you want to buy one though? I'm doing it.
Relic. No, I want to buy an SE because I wouldn't spend the money on a proper one, but I would like to see a PRS relic in that kind of. But sorry, I thought you mean when you. Yeah, I want it to look old and vintage. I like older vintage looking guitars, but it's silly to relic things. It's more to the fun of bashing something up that will set people's minds on fire,
right?
Kind of thing. That kind of thing, that cheekiness behind it. But I don't see when I see a purposely relic to guitar, I think that's pointless and someone's wasted a shit ton of money paying someone to basically bash up a guitar. Do you not think sometimes you're paying someone more money to drop it and
I used to think this until once we did like a one of one like Texan Twang that was relicked, and it took me like 3 hours to relic it to a standard where it looked okay. So I actually then had a newfound respect for the relicking process. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
I get it all takes time and that, but my point is just either buy a second-hand guitar if you want that relic look, or just treat it like a numpty and smack it about a bit. I don't get the point of paying someone to.
Here's the thing that this isn't interested in.
The pedals are different because the way the colours and everything work, and it's quicker and easier to do it on those. Well, depending on how you're trying to do it, I get it more with that. Because the funny thing is, me and the missus used to upcycle old furniture, so we would actually relic that kind of stuff as well. So I do get it, but guitars, I'm like, you can just buy an old guitar. There's plenty about.
Well, here's the weird thing though, that this is a common misconception I think about just get an old guitar, second-hand one, and play it and bash it about, and it will look old. There's like nowadays with the modern like finishing processes of like polyurethane finishes, polyester finishes, they don't relic. So you can literally. This is the ironic thing. Some relic processes, like you can relic it, and by playing it, you actually clean it up because it gets rid of all the. And it's almost like they are indestructible. So what I'm saying is, if you want to relic a guitar, to do it properly, you have to buy a nitro finish and make sure it's not a brand new spanking poly finish. So yeah. Anyway, that was a tangent.
Sorry.
A tangent.
But I'm not a fan of. I like how a lot of them look, but I'd rather a vintage guitar that's got true wear to it, not fake added wear that's been, accelerated testing.
Yeah.
I don't really get that. It does my head in.
Well, I saw this worst relics thread once on.
Yeah, because some look terrible.
Oh, mate,
that's someone's paid a lot of money for a very bad job, and it just wouldn't wear like that.
Yeah. I saw like a PRS.
That.
Yeah. But I saw this PRS that was relicked, and it looked horrible. It was. Is
that the one I'm doing?
Yeah. Okay, so 2 more words. Guitar pedals.
Flexibility. You can use a delay and sound like Brian May on acid. You can just have take your amp into new territory, slap a bit of reverb on. It makes a guitar and an amp way more flexible, doesn't it? Because your tonal palette.
Nice one, yeah.
I think, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so the last one is future things to come here at Pedal Porn. But in your department, the things you're doing.
Okay.
Because you know what's going on and it's crazy stuff. But yeah, what would you say? The first thing comes to mind when you think that?
Proud, like pride. If we get it done, I'll be really chuffed.
That's
when
cool.
we get it released.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Game changer. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching today on the fourth ever.
How many fingers you got?
It's been a long day. On the 4th ever Pedal Porn podcast. Massive thanks to our own guy,
Thank you for having me.
Pervy Paul's a legend here. And make sure you follow his Instagram in the description. Follow us on Instagram, and make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss out on future wafflings like this. But yeah, nice one, guys.
Carrot dangling.
Yeah, carrot.
New products that probably won't ever see the light of day.
Oh, good. But yeah, thanks so much, and we'll catch you soon.
Cheers, dudes, and dudesses.
Dudesses.
It's brutal, isn't it?
Mate, I think you've smashed it. I think once that's...
Those question ones are really hard because you can't get the words out that quick.